Good morning, men and women of the faith. Back with you with part 2 of this spirit-led teaching. The body of Christ and the church of Christ are not the same. The body of Christ and the church of Christ are not the same. Let us get into the teaching. Romans 9:8. For they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of God, but the children of the promise are counted as the seed. And when you're getting revelation of this text from Christ himself, the children of the flesh are biblical. The children of the spirit are revelational. The children of the flesh follow the letter. The children of the spirit, the children of the spirit, they're led of the spirit. So it's making a distinction between church and the gospel. Between the body of Christ and the church of Christ is making a distinction, because remember, we were given the letter at the fall to point us back to the place to where we fell from, to point us back to the place to where we fell from. But the problem is it pointed to us what it couldn't reveal to us. So we were still in biblical darkness. We had the letter by sight, but we were dead to light by faith. Romans chapter 8 through 11. Romans chapter 8, verse 8 through 11. In Romans 9:8, it also is separating Ephesians 1:3, the heavenly places, from Ephesians 6:12, which is the high places. So let's get into part 2 of this teaching, Romans 8 through 11. 8 says, for they that are in the flesh cannot please God. Well, if you're still following the letter, you're still in the flesh and you're still limited to the flesh. So you're not pleasing to the Lord in the spirit, because sin still has you bound by sight to the flesh, but you're outside of the light by faith. You're outside of the spirit of faith, because faith is spiritual, because faith is eternal. Ephesians 2:8, for we are saved by grace through faith, and that not of ourselves, it is the gift of God. So they that are in the flesh cannot please God. 9. Romans 8:9, but you are not in the flesh, but in the spirit, if so be that the spirit of God dwell in you. Now it's going to tell us who the spirit of God is. Now, if any have not the spirit of Christ, they're none of his, because the spirit of Christ is the spirit of God. Because the spirit of Christ is the mind of God. 10. But if Christ be in you, then the body is dead because of sin. The body is dead because of sin, but the spirit is life because of righteousness. The spirit is life because of righteousness. The body is dead because of sin, but the spirit is life because of righteousness. The body is dead to sin, but the spirit is alive unto righteousness. 11. But if him that raised up Jesus from the dead dwell in you, he that raised up Christ from the dead shall also quicken, that's to make alive, your mortal body, that's your physical body, by his spirit that dwells in you. By his spirit that dwells in you. Once your flesh comes under the government, the eternal government of the spirit, now you're led of the spirit. This is spirit-led living, spirit-led teaching. In everything, you're spirit-led. You're doing it by the ability of the spirit within you. You're doing it by the ability of the spirit in you. So just like the flesh has to be separated from the spirit, church has to be separated from the church of Christ, has to be separated from the body of Christ. Now remember, it is the church of Christ. Why was it called the church of Christ? Because that was established on the letter in the flesh. It was a shadow and type of the gospel in that fallen state. We had a shadow and type of what was to come. Now we're in the dispensation of the Spirit. We must once again enter into the work of restoration back to the mind of Christ, so that to the soul and the body can come the fruit of Christ, and we can become effective in this world by fruitful living, kingdom living, bringing light to those that sit in darkness, and bringing light to those that have been deceived by darkness, as we all were at one point. Some of us have come out of it. Some of us are still, a lot of us are still in it. And that brings us to a conclusion of part 2 of this teaching. Be back with you with part 3. Love you with the love of Christ.